Hello again. Thank you again for coming to me with another replay. This is a TVT on Zelnaga, and I went ahead and watched this once again already, and I definitely see you implementing some of the improvements that I've been talking about in my previous games. So that's awesome. I'm really happy to see that. And in fact, I feel like you should be moving up a league pretty soon. I'm curious what level of players you're actually getting matched up with right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see you move into silver quite soon, based on what I'm seeing anyway. So in this replay, I'm going to try to give you as many kind of more specific rooms to improve your build and improve your unit control and things like that. A lot of the previous games I was talking very generally just about macro concepts, but in this game you do actually a really good job of keeping your money quite a bit lower than previous games I've seen, so that's really good. And I think you can see it in this game when I was watching it. See the difference between you spending your money much better in this game than previous games, where there are attacks, several times in the game where your reinforcements are able to win you the battle, versus if you hadn't had as many of these unit producing structures, that might have been a losing battle for you, or maybe possibly even losing the game. So I'm not even going to talk about the opening. You've totally got your opening well hammered out, getting the orbital command as fast as you can. Now, I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about scouting. As you're getting better, scouting actually tends to get more and more important. So your first scout that you can see, wandering into his base, you see no gas. So the first thing that you can just deduce from that is there's going to be a lot of Marines. He doesn't have any option for anything to make, so there's going to be a lot of Marines. Now, not seeing gas can mean a fast expansion, or it could just mean he's delaying his gas. In this case, he was just delaying it, and so there will be, Marauders and other units out for sure. They'll just come out a little bit later than any of your units. The other thing is, try to keep your scouting SCV in his base as long as you can. Whenever you see these lights flashing on the barracks, you know something's actually building. Chill out a minute, wait around for that unit to actually come out, and then you can run away. An SCV is actually faster than a Marine. Let's see, Marine's 2.25, SCV is 2.81, so they can easily run away from a Marine, so you can stay in there. And look at it, little buddy wants to help. Okay, so you're going for this factory build. And I'm going to offer up some specific changes to this build. You end up getting a lot of Vikings, and it does really, really well for you, actually. It secures you an advantage at the beginning of the game that I think it carries you for the rest of the game. But I think the Viking attack is a little bit flimsy, and by that I mean if someone scouts it, it can be quite easily stopped. And I'll show you more later in the game. But basically what I mean is that, if he had seen those Vikings coming and he had put one siege tank right here, the Vikings wouldn't have done anything. And in fact, they would have had to lift off. And the whole time they're lifting off, there was a turret just pounding away on the Vikings as well. So that was that's a danger of this build, that basically it relies, if it's going to be effective, it relies on your opponent making a mistake, not you doing something particularly well. And there's all kinds of strategies like that I wouldn't really advise. The other thing I wanted to suggest is to start getting upgrades really, really, really fast. I'd say whenever you decide to throw down your first engineering bay, I think it's typically a good idea to throw down an engineering bay for a couple of reasons. First, as possibly a response to something you're scouting. let's say you scan his base and you see a starport with a tech lab, well, then you might be seeing banshees, obviously. So that's a good time to throw down an engineering bay. Other than that, I think getting an engineering bay around when you expand is a good idea. And from now on, try this, and I think you'll actually like it a lot. Get 2 engineering bays and focus on getting both upgrades at the same time. So get infantry weapons 1 and 2, or weapons and armor 1, and then get the armory, and then get level 2 upgrade for all of those, and it should be pretty nice for you. That's one of the things I was going to talk about, is focusing more on getting upgrades faster in this game. Because upgrades are incredibly important. Okay, so pumping out the medevacs. I do like seeing the Marine on this watchtower. However, if you can, spare the attention to just go grab the other watchtower, you've got enough Marines that you could just send them over here, grab it real quick. It puts him completely in the dark. Right now, both of you have like basically the exact same amount of vision. Your side of the base and the Xel'Naga closest to you. The other thing is secondary scouting, which I like to explain as that first SCV you send in, just to look at the gas, see what's going on. Oh, and look at how many Marines there are, based on what you saw with that gas. Lots of barracks with no... He has 1 with a tech lab, so he's slowly getting marauders. At this point, I would spend a scan, and probably scan about right here. You're going to get a piece of vision that's pretty big, and you're going to be able to at least... Oh, there you go. Dude, that's awesome. Now, this was an unlucky scan because he happened to have his army away, so you couldn't exactly tell what his unit composition was for his army, but you can see... And whenever you do scan, actually take a minute to sit and look at what you're seeing and think about what's going to happen. Okay, so I'm actually going to pause it. So you just scanned here. Let's look at your vision real quick. We're looking at his base. We can tell almost exactly what types of units we're going to see. He's got a factory with a tech lab. That's almost undoubtedly going to be siege tanks, unless he's doing blue Hellions or something, but that's a fringe scenario. He's got a starport without anything on it, okay? So that means either Vikings or medevacs. Well, we'll come back to that. We're not exactly sure what that's going to be. Well, he's got 3 barracks, 1 with a tech lab, and 2 without. So there's definitely going to be a lot of Marines. A lot of Marines, in my best guess, would mean that these are going to be medevacs, so we can heal those Marines. So, those are my guesses. We're looking at his army. Almost exactly right. You can tell pretty much exactly what someone's units are going to be just by looking at their structures. So whenever you scan, don't just scan and then look away. Actually take a minute to sit there and think about what you're seeing and, judge it accordingly. The macro is still a little bit behind here. Ideally, you want to have every single structure of yours producing something all the time. If a structure is sitting idle, then it's kind of going to waste a little bit. Okay, so this Viking thing is going to come in, and this is a very significant investment. Let's see, how much does a Viking cost? 150 minerals, 75 gas. So they're not incredibly expensive. They're kind of heavy on the gas side. 75 gas is not nothing. It's 3 marauders for each of these. Dropping the Vikings down. This is doing actually so much damage. I'm going to look at the units tab. He's down to 15, only 16, 14 SCVs, 13 SCVs, and that is so bad for him. Okay, here's where the mistake happens. Is you get a little bit greedy. You say, I want to do more damage than this. There's a siege tank up. Vikings are actually so bad against siege tanks. Let's just look. By the way, this is really useful to look at yourself when you're trying to judge what units are good against what. You can see a siege tank does 50 damage versus armored. It has a bonus to armored, so obviously it's going to be better versus armored. Vikings are indeed armored. You can see that right here underneath these two little icons. And the Vikings do straight up 12 damage when they're on the ground. They don't do any bonus damage to armored, so you can pretty much guess that they're not going to kill siege tanks particularly well. And actually, they're pretty horrible against siege tanks. And most anything else. Really, you don't want to have Vikings fighting on the ground. They're so bad on the ground. Like, look at this. Look at this. This is one Marauder with a medevac against two Vikings. Two Vikings shooting on him, and the medevac is actually out healing what the Vikings can do. So that is just sad and pitiful. Don't let your Vikings fight on the ground against actual army units. They will lose every single time. So, okay, at this point in the game, he has got 12 SCVs to your 34. So that's pretty big. That's really big. And in fact, I would say that big of a deficit without a serious error happening on your part, you should win this game. You should definitely win this game. And at this point, after the Viking harass happened, I don't think he's going to be foolish enough to allow that to happen again. So I would switch straight into medevacs. In fact, really, I would be getting medevacs this whole time. Medevacs just help out a bio army so much, both in a battle, during a battle, and after a battle. They allow you to stim more freely and not worry about all your units being damaged a lot. Okay, so your expansion is going down. This expansion could have gone down a little earlier. In general, you want to expand pretty much as quickly as you have the money to do. Get that second engineering bay up, and get an armory up so you can start getting those upgrades as fast as you can. The other upgrade that you're actually missing the entire game is the combat shield upgrade, which is quite huge. Plus 10 life to a Marine. I don't know what percentage that is, but it's a lot. It's actually massive. So that's just something to look out for. I've seen you getting combat shield in the previous games, so that was obviously just a slight oversight. Not a whole lot you can do about that. Just try to, in your games, you know, StarCraft can feel so frantic at times where you just have 1,000 things you're needing to do. Actually just take a minute, almost take your hand off the keyboard, look around and just think about what's happening in your base and what needs to happen in the future. So right now, if I were to stop and look at your base and say, what do I need to have my eye on for continuing on in this game and getting further in this game? Well, your production structures are producing well. Wish those were medevacs, but they aren't. You need to be thinking about getting more upgrades. So when you think about upgrades, I'm thinking about these weapon and armor upgrades. But whenever that springs to mind, I'd also look at this combat shield and try to think of that. The other thing I'm thinking is, well, you just expanded. That gas is going to be nice. What are you going to need after you expand, though? More unit producing structures, so you're at least going to need a couple more barracks. You can maybe get away with, you know, if you want to stick with all this bio unit, maybe get another starport. Yeah, so those are the things I'm thinking of. Your gas is higher than your minerals fairly frequently, so I would try to find some kind of gas dump. Okay, here we go. This is an issue that we had in the last game. Okay, so you are aware, in fact, let's watch your camera. You are aware you're going in for an attack right now, and you're aware that he has an expansion. So when he has an expansion, obviously his units are going to be right here protecting it. Before you go in for your attack, I'm just going to say from now on, always use a mule. Or not a mule, always use a scan. You're sacrificing a mule, which sucks. Mules are incredibly good, but always use a scan. Also, as a side note, I'd say get a orbital command here. I like the choice of a planetary fortress here because this is obviously in the middle of the map and it's in the direction of 2 attack paths. Let's say he's coming into your main, he can go this direction, which brings him right past the planetary fortress, or he can go this direction, which brings him right on the side of the planetary fortress. So I like the choice of planetary fortress there. I'd get an orbital command in your natural because pretty much if you're going to lose your natural, you're probably going to, if you're at the point where a planetary fortress needs to help you secure your natural, then you're probably losing the game anyway. So I'd prefer to have more orbital command for some more scans. So at this point, scan right here. You'd see all kinds of siege tanks, and what did we say about siege tanks? We're not going to engage into them. Let's look at this real quick. Just to emphasize the point, units lost is about even. You've lost about 400 more. And after this engagement, it's up to about 1,400 more. So losing 1,000 more minerals before even really engaging with the bio units. Now you do have an upgrade advantage on him, so that helps you some. Okay, so at the end of that battle is 2,500 lost on your side in terms of army value. And most of that was these siege tanks. You see this one got 7 kills, this one got 6 kills. You just quite frankly cannot do that with your units. One thing I'll talk about a little bit later is the opportunity to do drops. In your next game, I'll give you a little recap of the things I want you to try in your next game, but in your next game, or your next TVT, I'll say, focus on drops. Quicker upgrades and drops are going to be kind of the 2 main points that I'm going to suggest to you. So this engagement is going quite well. Your strong reinforcements from all these barracks are definitely helping you out, as well as the medevacs, just keeping all your units alive. Goodbye, Red Army. Alright. Okay. So now the money is definitely quite high. We're seeing an imbalance here. There's been some battles going on. The macro's falling a little bit behind. Now is definitely the time to get a couple more structures up. 2 or 3 barracks. I know you get them here in a second, but you could definitely use them now. Also, still be thinking about upgrades, especially when your army is all one type of unit. That makes those upgrades just more and more valuable to get. You hardly have any ships. You hardly have any vehicles. So definitely heavily focus on getting upgrades. They will win you the game, really. More Vikings just chilling over here. By the way, I wanted to talk about mini-map use a little bit. Whenever you're playing, try to focus your attention. Maybe I've said this before, I don't quite remember. Ooh, that hurts. Try to focus your attention just on this bottom half of the screen as you're macroing. So you've got your barracks on 4. Well, let's look at this battle and then I'll come back to that point. Okay, battle's not gonna happen. Focus on this lower half of the screen. You're bouncing back between your barracks, your factories, your starports, and your command centers, which are not hotkeyed. They were hotkeyed. Anyway, focus on this area of the map because you can actually do most of your macro in this area. Just looking at those dots, seeing, well, are my barracks doing anything? Yep, those are all busy. And in fact, yeah, they're all quite busy except for those 2. And now they are busy. Okay, so you can go to your barracks, say, look, yep, those are all busy. Starport is busy. Command centers, busy. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then what you could do to kind of to help your macro is called, I'm going to pause real quick, it's called tapping, where you just hit 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6 while you're just sitting there, and then you can just quickly look at the dots and see if all your buildings are doing anything. If you're hitting 4, 5, 6 now, you'd see 5, you'd say, oh, my starport's not doing anything. DD, get a couple more of those out. Oh, and the reason I was saying look at the bottom of this screen is because when you do that, it's also easy and convenient to look at the mini map, and that can just help you be aware of how much you can actually see. And you want to increase your vision wherever you can. So if you're looking at the mini map right now, you would say, well, I got a bunch of Vikings over there. Those aren't really doing anything. You just laid down a scan right there, which, by the way, you don't see his whole army, so it's a good guess that his army is somewhere else out here. You'd see you don't have this watchtower, so send a Marine over there. You know, stuff like that. Or, you know, you don't have this watchtower, so send a Marine over there. If you did that, you would see his entire army, and that would help you out quite a bit. Okay, so another engagement, we're looking at units lost again, and this engagement was slightly better for you, but still you were engaging in a spot with the siege tank, and the siege tank was just doing so much damage that you'd have been better off just stutter stepping him back a little bit, retreating a little bit, getting out of range of the siege tank. Most likely his units would just follow you out of range of the siege tank. Then you can just fight an even bio on bio battle and then go in for the kill on the siege tanks. At this point, your opponent is clearly making an error by not getting upgrades for his Marines. This will just show how pathetic Vikings are on the ground. They managed to get one siege tank, and that is it. So, Vikings, pitiful on the ground. I wouldn't bother trying to use them really as any kind of ground attack, any kind of useful ground attack. They're just plain not good. Okay, let's look at the income real quick. Your income is about to get really nice with this gold base. Nice transitioning of a good amount of SCVs. I think that was actually the perfect amount of SCVs to send over. Maybe it was a little too much. The way you can see if you're oversaturated a base, okay. Actually, that was a little too much. Even after you get these gas. The way you can see if you're oversaturated is to look at all the SCVs moving to the adjacent mineral patches, the ones that aren't just going straight back and forth towards the command center. If they're moving like all these right here, let me turn the health bars off, that are moving back and forth, roaming across these sides here, what's happening? Hold on, battle's happening. But what's happening is they're going to a mineral patch, there's already 2 SCVs there, and so they're forced to go and try to find another one. So they move to the other side to find another mineral patch, and if they encounter that one and it's got 2 SCVs on it, well, they have to go find another one. That's how you can tell whether you're oversaturated or not. And that's in opposition to a mineral patch that looks like this, that has, you see they're just going back and forth from their mineral patches that they've decided they're on. You see there's only 2 right there, 2 right there, 2 right there, 2 right there. So that's perfect. Okay, so we got another battle going on. This is an instance of needing to keep all your units together, basically. Let's look at units lost real quick. I think this is one of the excuse me. I think this is one of the most telling things about your games is the units lost tab. And in fact, in your own replays, you can go back and look at these and just see how far you are behind on units lost, because that can be a really, really nice indicator. So this is, again, another scenario. Okay, this is actually a big missed opportunity here. He's got his siege tanks. You're engaging. You can see, with your vision, you can see his siege tanks. Be watching them. Notice when they siege up, and when they siege up, just quickly run away back over here, and most likely what would happen is he would just take all of his bio units, put them about right here, and fight you head on, and then you'd have a planetary fortress helping you out as well. So that would be very, very beneficial These siege tanks, I suspect, will be getting a lot of kills. 8 kills and 3 kills, 9 kills, 3 kills. And this is when your reinforcements win you the game. You got this stream of Marines coming in from all your active barracks. I love seeing that you're still macroing while you're microing. I mean, it's winning you game. It's winning you games that you wouldn't have otherwise won, for sure. So I hope you recognize that, and I hope you're you know, happy with seeing real, legitimate, positive results from that. I know I'm happy seeing that. It's awesome. Let's say, I bet if you had the double engineering bays and you could just get both upgrades at the same time, I bet you'd have 3/3 Marines by now. 3 attack, 3 armor, and that would be really, really big. He's just now getting his first. Okay, we saw it again. I'm gonna back up again. So you're chilling here at the watchtower. I'm gonna go watch your camera.
Vespine Geyser exhausted.
We could use some help here.
Okay, so you see siege tanks. This is the point. You should just be running away. You end up winning this battle once again from your good reinforcing, but I think that was still just a time that you should be running away. Oh, so you end up getting double engineering bays. Very cool. I'd get them a lot earlier than this. In fact, whenever you lay down 1 engineering bay, always just lay down 2. Because those upgrades are very, very important. Now, let's look at the money real quick. Obviously, you're on 2 bases, 2 mining bases. This one doesn't count because it's pretty much depleted. No, it's entirely depleted. So you're on 2 running bases, and your gas is a lot higher than your minerals. So whenever you see that, you need to be trying to figure out where you can spend all that gas. And there's lots of different ways you can spend the gas. You could spend it on, first of all, getting upgrades is the first easiest thing I would say. If you've got spare money or spare gas, upgrades are always gas intensive. See, 250 gas for level 3. Get tons and tons of upgrades. Every upgrade you can think of. I have a lot of gas. Let me make sure I have all those. You are getting combat shield now. Very good. And then just start working on higher tech units. I mean, get more medevacs out. Medevacs cost gas. Start spending money on medevacs. Get another starport out. Hell, get 2 starports out and start getting some banshees. Banshees are good if you can just mix, you know, 3 or 4 of them, or more like 5 or 6 of them into your army. Banshees will do insane amounts of damage. So just start getting some banshees and mix them in. Let's see, where else can you spend all this money? It's pretty clear you don't like using siege tanks, which is fine. You can totally do a biological type of play, TVT. So don't worry about the factory. But yeah, more starports. Get that. You're doing well getting the minerals down, because those are kind of easy. You just spam a ton of Marines, right? Work on getting the minerals down as well. It could mean, you know, getting tech labs on these barracks and getting marauders instead of Marines, something like that.